Alright, so let me just say before I start this review, Chivalry Medieval Warfare has been one of those games I've been dying to play ever since it came out for the PC in late 2012. Of course, I have the capabilities to run the game on my computer, but to be honest, PC gaming has never really been my thing. Have I played PC games? Of course I have, and I still do to this day. However, personally, I just prefer console gaming. So when I heard that Medieval Warfare was coming out for consoles, I was immediately excited, although I did think it was kind of bizarre that they weren't releasing it on the PS4 or Xbox One. Either way, it didn't really matter to me because I was finally going to get the chance to play this game on a console. What made this even better at the time is that this game was on sale for around $6 or $7 during the August flash sale. Needless to say, I snatched up this game as quick as I could. Although, now, after playing the game for roughly 8 to 10 hours, I'm not sure if it was all worth it.
What makes you say that?
Don't worry, Tommy. We'll talk about it in due time. First off, what is Chivalry? It's essentially a first-person, or third-person if you prefer, hand-to-hand combat game set in medieval ages. There's no story mode or anything like that, it's simply a straight-up pick your game mode, your class and weapons, and slay the shit out of your enemies. Of course, for new players, there's a tutorial to help learn the basics, although it's pretty easy to pick up, so you shouldn't have that much of a problem. The variety of game modes is okay. Of course, you have the usual free-for-all, team deathmatch, and objective-based modes, but you also have last team standing, which is essentially team deathmatch without respawn, so you have to play this a little bit more careful to win. You also have a one-on-one duel, and finally capture the flag. When you get started in a match, you have 4 classes to choose from, each with their own weapons and stats, making them all very different from each other. Me personally, I love the Vanguard the most. He seems to have the best balance of speed and armor, plus I like some of his weapons. I'm not really that great at the Man-at-Arms because it's like if you get hit by the knight once, you're most likely dead, and I'm not super good at parrying enemies' attacks, so he's just kind of difficult for me to use. The Knight is another good class if you want to be able to take and also give more damage at the expense of being slow and clumsy. The Archer, much like the Man-at-Arms, doesn't take that much effort to kill whatsoever. You get off a good swing with the longsword or axe and he's dead. I've definitely not mastered the Archer whatsoever. I miss maybe 3 out of 4 shots, but every time I do get off a good hit, especially from long range, it's very rewarding. Speaking of, each class has their own specific weapons, as I mentioned. You get a few to start out with, and you unlock more by using specific weapons for a long enough time. For example, if you're using a sword, then you'll eventually unlock another sword instead of like a spear or an axe, which makes sense. You cannot level up or gain anything from playing the single player. I've always hated this shit. I wish more game developers made a separate leveling up and unlocking system for the single player, just like Call of Duty did with the original Black Ops combat training, because the thing is, not everyone in the world wants to play online against other players. Now, let's move on with taking a look at the game's graphics. Well, all I can say is, wow. I mean, people who have watched my reviews before know that I'm not that critical at all when it comes to graphics, but what the fuck happened here? The PC version of this game looks great. This looks at best like a launch title. The textures are the worst part. Look at the trees. Look at the buildings. The character models don't look all that bad, but there's still a very noticeable difference between the PC and console versions. That, and for some reason, anytime you die, your arms, like, detach from your shoulders. I don't remember this being an issue on the PC, but whatever, now I'm just being nitpicky. Something I don't feel is nitpicky is the annoying skipping around and dropping of frames that happens for no apparent reason. Not a lag spike or anything like that, because this happens a lot in the single player as well. I'll just be wandering around or in combat and all of a sudden I jump ahead a few feet or the game drops to like 5 frames per second. It's ridiculously annoying, and it's not even like they can use the excuse of having amazing graphics or something. No, this is just bad programming. So now that brings us to the gameplay. Well, it's a mixed bag, but let's focus on the positives first. The controls are very simple and easy to pick up, as I said before. There's a few oddball things you can do, like taunt and say things from a drop-down menu that are, well, kind of pointless. But other than that, there's really not much else to point out. The combat is simply put fun, especially if you get a group of friends together and play like a private match just to dick around or something. The thing I like most about the combat is that while the game is easy to pick up, it's easy to get kills, and in general an easy game to play, it still has that challenging aspect. Like, it's not the type of game you can master in a few days or so of playing. You gotta know the timing of each enemy attack, and you gotta know when and when not to strike. Sure, you can go in like a madman, hacking away at everything you come across, but that one player who knows what he's doing is gonna easily fuck you up. One negative thing I'll point out is that changing classes or weapons during a match can be annoying and a bit buggy at times. It doesn't help that you auto-respawn, so if you die and want to change your class, you have a very, very small amount of time to do so until you respawn in the open field. In the grand scheme of things, this is a minor issue. The biggest and worst aspect of the game that completely fucking ruins it for me is the online. Why? Because if you're not the host of a lobby, you're at a severe, major disadvantage. The lag is atrocious, easily the worst lag I've encountered in any online game I've ever played. Seriously, the amount of complaints online about the lag on both this and the 360 version are astounding. Let me just read off a couple examples that other people wrote online. One person wrote on Metacritic, "The online multiplayer is beyond broken, as enemies can be facing away from you and still hit you. Due to the lag, this game is completely unplayable online." Another person wrote on GameFAQs, "There are so many amazing things about this game, but the lag was a major issue. I would swing my sword and have to wait 2 seconds to find out if a hit registered, and then they would have moved somewhere else. There were times I damaged people I shouldn't have, and vice versa." There's not much left to say about this game, so we'll head right to my final thoughts. The game would have been amazing if it wasn't for the terrifyingly bad lag. It seems that the only way to do good in this game online is to be a host of a server, and that's pretty much it. If not, you'll end up seeing yourself and others skipping around and dying in extremely frustrating situations. What's funny to me is that out of the 10 or 15 online matches I've played, all of them had the host as the #1 on the boards, except for the last game where I beat the host by 1 kill. In a way, I feel like this should be so rewarding to do better than someone who has like a second or two drop on everyone else, but at the same time, it's just the most frustrating online experience I've ever had. It's such a goddamn shame because I've wanted to play this game for such a long ass time, and now that I finally got to, I'm beyond disappointed. Yeah, playing the single player is still fun from time to time, but the online is the main focus of the game. Sure, I could bypass the lag by creating a lobby myself, but I really don't feel like waiting 20 to 30 minutes for people to connect. Do I recommend Chivalry Medieval Warfare? No. Well, not for consoles at least. If you have the capability to play this game on PC, then by all means do it. Don't bother playing this game on console unless you absolutely have zero interest in playing online.